validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa, I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Sander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. And we had a couple glitches going through the beginning of this show, but hey, be patient with us today. It looks like the internet took a half dive as we got started. One of the reasons why we started a little bit late because of the current location that we're in, but no worries. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. If you'd like to jump onto the podcast, you can click that link, approve the mic, approve the camera, bring you on in real time. Keep your comments appropriate. Must be 18 or older to jump on and say what you got to say, or throw your comments into the comment section. Feel free to do that as well. Today's going to be a very interesting Wednesday in 2025. We're following through with our discussions about everything that's happening in 2025 with Donald Trump's inauguration along the way. We've got a lot of people that are saying a lot of things about a lot of things, but today, one of the things that we're going to be talking about is that concern that people are having about TikTok and TikTok's fight for survival against the U.S. Supreme Court's ban that was dictated in 2024 by the Joe Biden administration and its implications as we creep on 4 days away from the full totality of this particular ban. Now, we've got the toss-up because the inauguration is coming up, so the executive order from Donald Trump can't happen if he wants to do one. before the 19th, but he can try to do one that postpones it. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later in tonight's show. I had a buddy of mine that was talking to me about he's swearing up and down, oh yeah, TikTok's not going to get banned just yet. I'm like, hold on a second. We have a lot of misconceptions on that, because while he's leading himself to believe that that's not something that's going to happen, the truth of the matter is that no, it is in fact uh, a thing that can happen, but then the implications can be delayed because once the U.S. government starts putting something in motion, it's very, very hard to undo it, especially since the things that happened from the last president usually takes 25 years to undo. Uh, and since a large majority of the states in the United States on the state level has the ability to do things as long as it doesn't violate any current executive orders or any current laws or constitution legislation that exists, that even if the full on federal government doesn't agree with certain things that happen, individual states equivalent to the 30 or 40 states that I think we have about 40 states so far out of the 50 that have banned TikTok from their airways. So you're not able to stream from the United States, but you are able to utilize. So you can't live stream right now from those 40 states, but you can access the TikTok app and observe the US states that haven't been officially banned, and potentially be able to observe the other countries that are allowed to utilize the app. So today I wanted you guys to make sure that you join me as we dive into the world of TikTok and take on the challenge of surviving against the potential US Supreme Court ban. So the ongoing legal battle between TikTok and the US Supreme Court has been making headlines for the last year, and for good reason. The popular social media platform is fighting for its very survival in the US market, and the stakes couldn't be higher. TikTok's legal troubles stem from concerns over data privacy and national security. Lawmakers and regulators have been scrutinizing the app's handle of user data, particularly with regard to its Chinese ownership. The fear is that Chinese government could be using TikTok to gather sensitive information on American citizens or even influence public opinion. This is not related to the lawsuit that happened in Arkansas as of 3 months ago, I do believe, when TikTok and Facebook and Instagram were sued for the inappropriate usage practices with relation to minors and the impact that the ongoing usage of the platform had on the mental development of minors, with their emotional and psychological states being compromised by the functionality of TikTok. But, these concerns had for a complete ban on the app, with some politicians going so far as on TikTok's data privacy beyond just national security. The app has been criticized for its lax data collection policies, which may argue that it could put users' potential information at risk for those individuals who put their actual information on there. And with so much of our personal lives being lived out online, which is the fault of the user, the potential consequences of the data breach are dire indeed for the company. And to add, this is the fact that TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, making it something a little bit more devastating. And you can see why many are calling for the app to be banned outright. As the legal battles continue to unfold, one thing is clear: TikTok is facing an existential crisis. Whew. And with the US Supreme Court weighing in, the app's fate hangs preciously in the balance. Whether or not TikTok will ultimately be banned remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the implications will be far reaching and profound. The ongoing legal battle regarding the constitutionality of the ban adds uncertainty to TikTok's future in the United States. If the Supreme Court rules against TikTok, it could set a precedent for how social media platforms are regulated in terms of national security concerns. If TikTok were to be banned, the impact would be felt across social media landscapes. Users would be forced to find platforms to connect with friends and share their experiences, while creators would need to adapt to new formats and strategies. And let's not forget the economic impact. A TikTok ban would likely have significant repercussions for the millions of users and businesses that rely on the app for income. The potential ban would also have a major implication for the way we think about social media regulations. If the US Supreme Court were to rule in favor of a ban, it would set a precedent for government involvement in the tech industry that could have far reaching consequences. Would other social media platforms be next on the chopping block? Or would this mark a new era of cooperation between tech companies and regulators? The impact wouldn't stop there. A TikTok ban would also have significant cultural impacts. The app has become an integral part of the youth culture, providing a platform for self expression and creativity for individuals under the age of 18. Actually, the largest majority of the TikTok platform starts at about 14, 15 years old through the age of 25, where the more adult users follow platforms like YouTube between 35 and 55. And you have also the individuals that are interested in news and business and finance are leaning more towards Twitter. So if it were to disappear, the creative energy would need to find new outlets, and it's unclear what the consequences would be there. So, in recent weeks, there has been a pivotal moment in the legal proceedings, and this could change the outcome. TikTok CEO has come out swinging, releasing a statement denying any wrongdoing and vowing to fight the ban head on. Meanwhile, legal experts have been weighing in, saying that the ban would be difficult to implement and could have unintended consequences. As the legal battles rages on, one thing is clear: the stakes are higher than ever. So the potential ban on TikTok in the United States is set to take effect in about 4 days on January 19th, 2025, and could significantly impact the platform's performance for American users. If the ban is enacted, TikTok would no longer be available for download on US app stores such as Google Play and Apple's App Store. This means new users will not be able to access the app, limiting its growth potential in the United States market. Current users who have the app installed may still access it initially. However, they will not receive updates or support, leading to a gradual decline in performance and functionality over time. Without updates, users may experience glitches, slower performance, and increased security vulnerabilities. The absence of new features and bug fixes could make the app less appealing and functional. Similarly to what occurred in India when TikTok was banned, American users might eventually receive notifications indicating that the service is unavailable in their country, effectively rendering the app non functional. With TikTok potentially becoming inaccessible or less functional, users may seek alternative platforms for short form video content, such as Clappers, which is also owned by ByteDance or BetaDance. But if they ban TikTok, Clappers would be next because it's owned by the same company. So unless they prohibit the usability of the platform to individuals under the age of 18, the implications that got them in trouble in a lot of the states in the United States based on the access to content from minors versus the distribution of content from minors that can be accessed by adults, and that regulation in between appropriate and inappropriate could still cause clappers to receive the same negative feedback that TikTok has received. So this shift could benefit competitors like Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or Snapchat, which may seem to experience an influx of users like for looking for the similar features. And that's one of the reasons why you've noticed on YouTube that they have pushed for YouTube Shorts. You're starting to see live streams on YouTube Shorts. You're looking at long form videos, 3-minute shorts on the YouTube Shorts, because they're a direct competition with TikTok, where if TikTok goes off the market, you're looking at over 170 million people looking for another place to go, and similar content that's being produced on YouTube will be where the fans tend to go. Many creators that rely on TikTok for their audience engagement and income are going to be affected. A ban could disrupt established communities and diminish user generated content that drives engagement on the platform. So, the abrupt change could lead to frustration among TikTok's estimated 170 million American users, particularly the young demographics who heavily rely on the platform for entertainment as well as social media interactions. Users may feel a sense of loss if they cannot access a platform's integral uh, to their social media experiences. And the legislation that does not impose fines or penalties on individual users for continuing to access TikTok after the ban takes effect is still implementing a focus on its primary mission, which is preventing the app's distribution through the official channels. So while American users will not face legal penalties for using TikTok after the ban, several implications will affect their access and experience with the platform. Those who already have TikTok installed on their devices will still be able to use the app initially. However, it will no longer be available for download in the US app stores, meaning new users cannot access it through the legislative channels. And over time, users may find the app become less uh, useful and less functional due to the lack of updates and support. Now, I understand that individuals that utilize VPNs, and VPNs are going to be very popular in 2025, because not only can you utilize VPNs to change your location to allow yourself to have access to things that are restricted in a specific network, you also have the opportunity for VPNs to bypass YouTube's restricted mode, which you can find in the general section of your settings. And if you go into the general section of your settings and scroll all the way down, you see that restricted mode that's automatically activated on most Android and some users of iPhone, and it restricts you from the majority of the content that is sensitive in nature. So anything like a political dismay, anything that's involving excessive violence or nudity, or a lot of adult content such as vulgarities, profanities, it automatically throws this content into an 18 or older adult section, which if you turn off the restricted mode, you find that there is a treasure trove of content that you did not even know existed, because the individual who created the content might have used one too many curse words or talked about a topic that is more sensitive in nature than YouTube is willing to promote. This tends to restrict accessibility to certain content creators to build a network or build a brand, and it also restricts the user from being able to receive the supposed to be uh, freedom of speech, transfer of knowledge and information. Now, one of the things I've also come to understand that with these VPNs, that if you're accessing it from a laptop, you may still be able to utilize the TikTok platform freely. You're not going to be able to live stream on it though, but um, you will be able to access in a limited fashion a very basic version of the same platform. So experts predict that the users might receive notifications indicating that this service is not available in your country coming soon, and similar to the experiences in other countries that TikTok has been banned. The absence of updates will likely lead to a decline in your performance. you will potentially experience a bunch of glitches, similar to the glitches you're experiencing on YouTube right now. And the security vulnerabilities is going to be a lot worse when you start making purchases, and you're going to be experiencing a lot more redirects to incorrect locations, and you're going to start having a lot more problems that would not happen if the app was properly regulated by its source. And it's going to ultimately be treated like an outdated app or an outdated cell phone. And usually, what we do with something that no longer functions and is treated as outdated, we typically upgrade to something more modern that doesn't have any malfunctions. Users may experience slower loading times and instability as TikTok relies on foreign servers without local support. While there are expect uh, while there are expected to be no penalties for accessing TikTok post banned, some users might resort to that virtual private network that I've been telling you guys about to bypass the restrictions and access the platform. This method could expose you to risks associated with unregulated VPN services. So many content creators rely on TikTok for their livelihoods and community engagement, and a ban would disrupt their ability to connect with audiences and monetize their content, leading to a significant economic consequence for these individuals. Now, if you're using a VPN like what is it called? ExpressVPN, you would be able to acquire a network that is not free to be able to protect some of your streaming needs. But you have to remember that since there is going to be a less regulated scenario, your personal data is at risk, which means that any financial data that you have backed up and stored on your laptop, any personal files that you have backed up and stored on your laptop could be accessed while you are streaming in an unregulated charter, almost like going onto the dark web. So you might want to make sure that you take heed to how you utilize these services on your cell phones and other such, since a lot of us have Google Wallet and Apple Store, and we potentially have everything, including our crypto wallet, attached to our cell phones, where it's easily accessible for us, but easily accessible to a hacker if we do something ridiculous like connect our network to that particular system. The potential losses of TikTok could create a void for the creators and users who have built communities around shared interests on the platform. And I can tell you that it takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and a long time to build that network up. And to say that somebody who started their streaming platform on TikTok is now forced to start over on another platform, I can tell you that you are going to have a significantly harder way to go to make ends meet when you're in a scenario where you no longer have the support from the TikTok audience. And it is going to be excessively hard with the trillions of people that are on YouTube creating content for you to try to bottleneck yourself as a startup company, even if it's the exact same brand from TikTok. If you don't already have your YouTube channel set up, it's going to be really hard to go from the bottom back up to the top, because the YouTube is currently funneling 95% of the impressions to the top 3% of content creators, which is usually like CNN, WWE, NFL, Netflix, stuff to that effect. And those content creators that have like 50 to 100 million followers. But those startup companies that are under 100,000, those startup content creators that are under 50,000, they're not going to get the same push. So it's going to be a lot harder for content creators to get onto a different platform and work their way back up as the underdog when the company is supporting the big brands instead of promoting the small brands to build more balanced distribution of information and entertainment. President-elect Donald Trump, still not inaugurated yet, is considering an executive order that would suspend enforcement on the TikTok ban in the United States for a period of 60 to 90 days. This is what my homeboy was trying to talk about when he was misinformed about the fact that TikTok may not be banned. He was thinking, I don't know what he was thinking, but he explained that there was going to be a delay. That delay is subjective. The fact is that the ban could still occur and then the delay in the process of the ban is equivalent to the eviction still occurring and the delay in the sheriff coming and kicking you out of your house happening. Does not change the fact that the functionality of the app is still going to slowly decline because the states can stop allowing the platform to be streamed in their state for other reasons than the Supreme Court TikTok ban. For example, state of Arkansas banned TikTok for the safety of the children, which has nothing to do with a national security breach. So the United States government saying, hey, the Supreme Court ban, you can't do anything about that, has nothing to do with the 40 states that have individually banned TikTok related to something uh, uh, not in line with the Supreme Court ban. So they're not actually following the instructions of the U.S. Supreme Court. They're working alongside the U.S. Supreme Court based on civil action in individual states for similar reasons. So while the federal government has loose legislation, the states have more strict legislation. So while the US government says, you know what, it's not going to be a problem in the United States, the individual states can still say it's still a problem. So my buddy is misinformed when he believes that, yeah, the Donald Trump is going to stop the ban from happening altogether. It's a possible scenario, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the truth, because the potential directive that is aimed for the providing of the new administration, the new Trump administration, with additional time to evaluate the situation surrounding popular social media platforms, this will set a to face the ban starting on July 19th or January 19th. And unless its parent company, ByteDance, divests its ownership, we're looking at the probability that the United States is probably still going to ban it. Now, Donald Trump can negotiate. He's a businessman. He's good at negotiating. But this is still going to be a situation that's going to be very hard to overcome. Now, Trump's proposal would be to temporarily halt the implementation of the new law that mandates TikTok sell or prohibit its usage in the United States. This suspension could offer a reprieve for TikTok users. There's Max the Poser. Special shout out to Max the Poser. Special shout out to Reese Rodriguez or Martinez and Ruderus. It's good to see you guys on the show. We're over here talking about TikTok getting kicked off of U.S. Airways and the suspension that the President Trump is talking about doing with the executive order for the 60 to 90 day delay on the ban would offer content creators who rely on the platform a little bit more longer, as long as their network does not get negatively impacted by that. That's a good question. Should I buy properties in Egypt? But what do they do for you? Do they just give you the property? Well, if you buy a property in Egypt, this is a redirect, guys, from our discussion on TikTok, because on this, that, and everything in between, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And we've been talking about business and finance all across the world. And real estate is a profitable business in every country. And this is a very good question. If you are to buy property in Egypt, there are some countries that prohibits foreign nationals from buying properties outside of their LLC or C corporation. So you have to make sure that you check with the local embassy in Egypt. But if you buy a property in Egypt, either you or the business that you represent owns that property in countries that allow foreign nationals or foreign domestic businesses to buy real estate. I would recommend that you would put that particular property up for rent unless you're going to buy it and live in it because you plan on going to stay in Egypt. And that would aid you with your ability to have foreign income as opposed to the income that you rely on in the United States. Can you buy property in Egypt without owing taxes? Well, certain countries like Japan have a situation where the United States allows you to start up a business, and under $120,000 of foreign income, you're not going to be taxed on that information from the United States. But that also means that does not mean that you won't get taxed inside of the country that you're in. So basically, the U.S. is not going to double tax you up to $120,000. Remember that U.S. is a voluntary tax country, and they're just now starting to talk about that. So the only reason why people voluntarily filed taxes was because they mandatorily had taxes taken out of their paychecks, and in order for them to get tax returns, they had to file taxes so that they could get their money back. But anybody who's a 1099 individual or a non-W-2 worker, self-employed, if you're not turning a profit off of filing taxes, you technically don't have to. The issues that you have with tax evasion and tax fraud is individuals who file taxes and don't claim all of their assets or misrepresent their income. That's usually the issue. But individuals who don't say nothing, from the information that I've dug up, the US government usually doesn't come after you for anything you haven't filed, because they're not going to give you back your refund. If they got money on your behalf, they're going to keep it. So before they audit you and they're forced to pay you money, they just won't take any money out of your pocket. Now, uh, that also means that no, you don't have to worry about taxes. Barry, we got a couple more questions and then we're going to get back on this TikTok ban scenario. So, should I buy properties in Egypt, or which has the lower form of taxes? Do they just give you the property? They're not going to give you the property. You're going to buy it. You're going to own it. You might have to lease it, because, like in the Philippines, they have like 25 and 50-year contract land leases where you can utilize the property and redevelop it however you like, but the property owner still stays as a local resident. So in the Philippines, if you marry a Filipino, uh, she can own the property, but you don't own the property. Does that make sense? You can also start up a business in the Philippines, but a native has to have 60% ownership of the business in order for you to do business, which means that basically the local country has to have more control over your accessibility to the real estate than you do as a foreign domestic or as a foreign national. So you can buy properties in Egypt, and you can buy properties anywhere else, and that's not necessarily going to change how you make money, unless you are going to buy it and sell it, or if you're going to buy it and rent it out. How your profits are going to come, because you still got to pay the landowner, which usually isn't you. Now, if you go to Japan, you'll be able to own that property. You can walk over there right now with whatever's in your pocket and go and buy your property in Japan for $800 and cover the taxes for the whole year. Now, it might cost you $500,000 to renovate that property, depending on where the property is located at. But you can own the condition for little to nothing in Japan, and you don't have to worry about any issues with that. He's asking me about OJ drinking orange juice. Well, if you know about Oriental Jones, you understand that he wasn't that fast because they caught him, but he had the fastest Bronco in the United States, because it took him what, 4 hours to catch him at 55 miles an hour in a high speed chase. He went home before they picked him up. So back to this TikTok ban. The intentions behind the move appears to be a desire to reassess the implications of the ban and explore potential solutions that could allow TikTok to continue operating in the US without requiring a sale. Trump's history as a businessman suggests he may seek a negotiation to resolve this situation rather than outright ban. This approach comes amid ongoing legal challenges regarding the constitutionality of the ban and a broader concern about freedom of speech and access to information. He says he wants to buy a white Bronco. You got to buy the 1990s Bronco. You can't buy the 2024 Bronco. The 2024 Bronco looks like a busted transformer. The Supreme Court is currently deliberating on related cases, which adds complexity to Trump's considerations. You're asking me, who's Kai? Will he buy TikTok, or will he buy a property in nah. I don't think either one of them is going to buy TikTok. TikTok's not for sale. That's the whole reason why they're being banned, because if they would have just sent one of their people here as a US citizen and built the company here, they wouldn't have any problems. They are refusing to allow TikTok to be on US territory, where US territory can manipulate the control of TikTok. If enacted, the suspension could alleviate immediate concerns for TikTok users, for approximately 170 million American users, allowing them to continue access to the platform while discussions about its future unfolds. Trump has indicated a willingness to engage in negotiations with ByteDance or other stakeholders to find a way forward that satisfies national security concerns without resulting to a complete ban. Trump has suggested that instead of outright ban or force uh, divestitures, there may be alternative solutions that could allow TikTok to operate under certain conditions. This could be involved. This could involve negotiations with ByteDance or other stakeholders to address that national security that I just told you about, while keeping the platform available for American users. So Trump is considering the executive order that would temporarily suspend the enforcement of TikTok's ban for another 60 to 90 days. So instead of it being shut down on January 19th, it might actually be shut down March or April 19th if his executive order goes through. This would provide that time to reassess the situation and explore those potential solutions without rushing into a sale or closure of the app. Now, I know he's a billionaire, but Trump is not proposing to buy ByteDance. His approach simply seems to focus on negotiations rather than acquisition. So he may seek terms that would ensure TikTok's compliance with US regulations while allowing it to continue operating. The ongoing legal battles surrounding TikTok's status in the US complicate any potential acquisition discussions, and the Supreme Court is currently reviewing cases related to that ban, which may influence future actions taken by Donald Trump or his administration. If negotiations succeed, it could benefit TikTok's 170 million American users, allowing them to continue accessing the platform without disruption. But President elect Donald Trump could potentially fail to unban TikTok in the United States due to several factors. The ban on TikTok is currently subject to legal scrutiny, with cases being reviewed by the Supreme Court. If the court upholds the legality of the ban, any efforts by Donald Trump to reverse it may be ineffective. Legal arguments regarding freedom of speech and due process could complicate attempts to unban the platform, making it difficult for an administration to navigate these challenges successfully. The original rationale for the ban stemmed from national security concerns regarding data privacy and potential foreign influences. And here we go with those issues with internet service. As soon as I start talking about conflicts of interest, then all of a sudden, internet start getting a little bit sluggish. I got to tell you, it is what it is. But if these concerns remain unresolved, it may be challenging for Trump or any other official to justify lifting the ban. Reversing a ban involves navigating complex regulatory frameworks and may require coordination with various government agencies, which could delay or complicate the process. Some members of Congress from both parties have expressed support for stringent measures against TikTok due to security concerns, and this bipartisan skepticism could hinder efforts to lift the ban. If public opinion leans towards supporting a ban for security reasons, political pressure may prevent Trump from pursuing an unban effectivity. Finding a viable solution that addresses national security concerns while allowing TikTok to operate could prove difficult. If negotiations with ByteDance or stakeholders do not yield satisfactory results, lifting the ban may not be feasible. Any perceived favoritism towards TikTok or ByteDance could lead to a backlash from constitutionists who are concerned about data privacy and national security. So the impending ban on TikTok poses significant challenges for American users, including restricted access, degraded app performance, and potential shifts to alternative platforms for content consumption. The situation remains fluid as legal proceedings continue, but if enacted, this ban could reshape the landscape of the social media engagement in the United States. While American users will not be punished for the using TikTok going forward after the ban, they can expect deteriorating experiences as access becomes increasingly challenging and functionality declines over time. The situation, even though it is fluid, as the legal proceedings continue, the enacted ban could significantly impact both casual users and content creators reliant on the platform for engagement or income. So while Trump may have intentions to unban TikTok's various legal, regulatory, political, and negotiation challenges, consider the fact that all of this stuff will hinder his efforts. So the situation remains dynamic, and developments in ongoing legislation and public sentiment will significantly influence the outcome regarding TikTok's status in the United States. And Trump's potential executive order that reflects a strategic approach aimed to delaying TikTok's ban while exploring options that could preserve the platform's operation in the US. Recognizing the move underscores ongoing debates about digital privacy, national security, and users' rights as the situation develops in coming weeks. So while there are no current plans for Trump to buy ByteDance, his administration appears to open exploring alternatives that would allow TikTok to remain operational in the United States through negotiations rather than outright ownership or ban. So they're not going to get shut down and then unshut down and then re-shut down again. They're going to stay afloat until there is no further negotiations to have, and then effective lack of cooperation and communication and an automatic shutdown will occur. So as we understand that the situation is going to remain fluid during the discussions, the legal conversation will continue to evolve, and we will continue to follow up with it. In the end, it all comes down to this: will TikTok be able to survive the US Supreme Court's scrutiny, or will it fall victim to concerns over data privacy and national security? The consequences of the ban would be far reaching and profound, and it is clear that the stakes are higher than ever. What are your thoughts and opinions on if TikTok gets banned or not? How does it affect you? Will it interfere with your ability to turn a profit, or will it interfere with your ability to enjoy the water dance on TikTok or the latest TikTok trending swagger that individuals are working on? Making sure that you put that information into your comments down below. Also, make sure that you guys stay tuned to our live performance. Well, not the live performance. We actually have the live release of the This and That exclusive soundtrack. So it's going to be playing at the end of the show. And I wanted to make sure that as we walk out today, that you guys remember to put all of your concerns about which direction you would lean as far as your freedom of speech on TikTok or accessibility to information from TikTok. And then don't forget, I want you guys to check out some of the other videos that we have posted about social media trends, as well as the latest developments in world tech. One of the things I want to make sure that you guys make note that we are definitely live 7 days a week, and you should always make sure that you check us out. We are supposed to start around 10 o'clock Central Time, which is 11 o'clock Eastern Time, and 7 o'clock California time. Just as a small reminder, California is still burning to the ground, so make sure that you keep your eyes out for that. I would remember to never leave your house without a mask, just in case you might catch wind of some of that extra toxic oxygen. The air conditioner in your car is not going to help with that. The in-cabin filters are not going to be good enough. So make sure that you swing by your local military shop and go and buy you one of those. I do believe it's called an NWR 95 gas mask, and potentially one that is compatible with an oxygen tank, and pick yourself up an oxygen tank while you're at it, just to make sure that not only do you not inhale some of the toxic particles in the air, but you're also able to breathe some actual oxygen in addition to kind of supplement the lack of fresh oxygen that you have while you are out in general public. I would also make reference for those individuals that like to wear t-shirts and shorts that you might want to start wearing hats, long sleeve shirts, and some pants so that you're not exposing your skin directly to the atmosphere that is not so healthy at this point with all of the debris and hazardous materials floating in the air. So we're also going to be following that California fire throughout the next few weeks as well, because as I projected that it should continue to burn for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And after the other day where they went to a fire hydrant that had no water in it, they are even running out of water pressure to put this fire out. So as things progress with the California blaze, I'm going to keep giving you guys short updates throughout the podcast. But remember that we are live 7 days a week. And you guys should make sure that you take the opportunity to like and subscribe, share the podcast with some of the people that you know, share the podcast with people that you know that might have an argument against the information that I provide, because I do detailed research. So if you want to challenge any information that I've put up onto the podcast, please feel free to challenge me. I have no problem in this open-minded, open forum to have an open discussion about any of your concerns. Whether or not I agree with you, I'll be able to respond respectfully. We expect you to do the same. Beyond that, I want to say as we walk out of the door today, special shout out to those individuals that are watching us from TikTok, not TikTok, TikTok's banned. Twitch and Twitter. Special shout out to those of you that are watching us from Twitch and Twitter. We've been looking at a large quantity of fans watching us from Russia. So I want to give a special shout out to you guys in Russia. They have actually effectively been 30% of the viewership that we've had in the past 30 days. So I want to give a special shout out to Russia. We're probably going to be talking about business and finance in Russia on Monday as a result of Russia's support of the podcast. And we're going to keep moving with business and finance information throughout the month going into February as we quickly approach Valentine's Day. It's a fantastic waste of money. So just remember, I'll be telling you other ways that you could be spending your money, since more than likely it's going to be the guy spending money on the girls. I'm going to be telling you, fellas, you could put effort into Valentine's Day and keep your money in your pocket, as opposed to wasting a bunch of money on impressing the girl, because let's be real, very few are going to reciprocate at the same monetary value, and very few are going to reciprocate at all outside of shenanigans in the bedroom. So, let's find a better way to spend our money this year in 2025, because everything is a business. And if we don't start acting that way, we're going to continue to make financially irresponsible decisions. But one of the things I also want to say as we walk out is that with TikTok being a business, you have investment strategies that you need to rethink now, because if you are investing in TikTok, your money might be going to waste. If you are investing in real estate investment trust, you might want to pay attention to the fact that your real estate investment trust may be losing out on revenue shares because of the fire in California. So you want to make sure that you check your stock option right now, because if people are walking away from that, if you're not invested in it, you might want to invest in it. If you are invested in it, you might want to pull out. Some people like to ride the wave and see what happens, but just note that anybody with a real estate investment trust investment needs to go back and check that investment this 30 days, because with Los Angeles being burned to the ground, that is a massive real estate market, to say that any real estate investment trust working in that market would be heavily impacted, and the shareholders would also be heavily impacted. So just take that into consideration going forward. Beyond that, that's all I have for you guys for today. And I want to thank you guys for coming to tonight's show. And ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to please make it make sense. Fellas, I want to thank you guys for showing up to the podcast. About 85%, 87% of the podcast is men, actually between 25 and 35 years old. So I'm actually pretty impressed. I appreciate you guys for coming to the podcast and showing us that support. Special shout out to Reese, Omni81, Liberty Twitcher, and Red Void, Max the Poser, Rooterus, for showing us so much love on a regular basis and always being here to support the podcast. As I've said before, make sure that you guys follow us again at 10 o'clock. We're going to be here tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central. And again, I want to thank you for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.